Hello. This video is going to give you a glimpse of the tools available to the production supervisor. The focus is the workflow through the plant and how to manage it. Okay, the tools that you're going to see allow the shop floor supervisors to check on the status of jobs waiting to run in a work center. So basically, there's all sorts of information they can get from their desk about what is currently happening out on the shop floor. They can see if materials have been issued to orders. They can see if the jobs are running. They can see quantities that have been claimed. They can see what's coming up to a work center. It's currently running someplace else, but the next stop is going to be that work center, etc. So information they need to keep the workflow running through the work center. They can also, the supervisor can tweak the order of the jobs in a work center as things change by the minute. Something's not available, something is available. They can shift things around a little. They can assign work to specific employees, and they can also move a job to a different work center. Like, say, for instances where another machine can do the same thing and it just needs to be configured a little differently, and the work center it was scheduled for is behind. So that might be an example of why you would want to change something to a different work center. So let's take a look at what this looks like. I am on the menu Supervisor Shop Floor, and we're going to start by looking at this option right here. This allows a view of each work center and the workload coming up, and it gives the information, it gives a very detailed information that the supervisor might need, as opposed to somebody who's running the machine just needs to know, what do I need to run? Okay, so we're going to look at the welding work center. And this is live info. These are actual jobs running. And we can see there's 3 of them. We can see who's running them, which operator. And down below, this is the information for the supervisor. It's very busy. There's a lot of information here, but it's all things that the supervisor might want to know. So, first of all, this is the order priority. This is assigned by the planner scheduler if there are certain orders that need to be expedited beyond how the system, the capacity requirements planning and the materials requirements planning, beyond how the system chose to schedule it. So speaking of that, this particular column is the start date that was assigned by the J.D. Edwards software. And all of these in orange, I'm going to scroll down a little bit so you can see them, are ones that have been expedited by the system. And what it means is that the top level or parent order is a priority order and has been expedited. So this will flow through to all the lower level orders and the route steps on each of those orders. So that's set in stone by the planner, and the production supervisor can see that there, what the intention is. Here is another column really critical to the production supervisor. This is showing the material status. These ones have been partially issued, which means the full amount that's required has not been issued. Green means go. In this case, no no issues were required for this particular route step. These in red, they have not been issued. So you can see this going down. Here's some that have been fully issued. That's what you want to see. You want to see green, fully issued, or none were needed. Those would be all ready to go. The ones in red and yellow cannot be completed. All right, so let's go ahead and drill down on one of these. I'm going to just double click, which you can always do in here. This is going to take you to a full detail screen about the order number that you've drilled down on. So here we have, I'm going to expand this because it looks like there's a lot of route steps here so we can see them better. And you can do this anywhere in Catavolt or eShop. When you have a series of boxes on the screen, you can expand and then you can contract it back. All the operations in gray are complete. And the ones in green are not complete, though you can see these ones, 6 were ordered, 4 have been completed, and so 2 are remaining. So these are partially done. And then this final step, weld port, has only been partially issued. So this is step 80. Now let's go back to let's go to the parts list here. And here you see a number of requirements for step 80. And here's one where only 3 have been issued of the 6 that are required. So that's just a little example of how you can drill down and get more information about what you're seeing on the screen, what the deal is here. But for the production supervisor, they just know we don't have what we need, so I'm not going to have somebody run this because they can't. Okay, let's look at what else we have here. There's a lot of color on this screen. This light green means that this this order should be here, and it may not be physically moved there, but what it means is that the previous route step has completed, and so it should be available to this work center to do. The dark green here, I select it and I cover it up, means that this is actively running. It's one of these 3 jobs. Here's 1, 2, 3. And the white means, well, let's look at the yellow here. This means that operation 90 needs to be run at this work center for this order. And again, I'm going to unclick out of it so we can see it. Over here, you can see these are current operations that the order is at this step or running this step, and you can have multiple operations for the same order running at the same time, which is why there's 3 columns. And this one says the next operation. So the next operation is 90. And that is the operation that needs to be run through this work center. So it's giving you a yellow, like this one's coming up, or this one will be there soon. And you know, again, you could drill down into the detail and see how many they've claimed at the previous operation, or just go check at that work center to see how close it's going to be before it's there. All right, so just to summarize, you can see which ones are here and ready to go, which ones are running, and what the status is, where it's at. It's like, let's look at this one, no color here. It's currently at operation 30, and we are going to do operation 40 at this work center. In fact, let's go ahead and click into this one. and I apologize, this is a lot of information, but once you get used to working with it, it should be pretty simple and basic. The reason there is so much information here is because we've tried to give you a tool where you can see everything that you need to know right at your desk, so you don't have to do as much running around. Obviously, you're still going to, physically check some things out, but at least you could do the legwork very quickly from your desk. So in this case, these two operations are complete. The current operation, it's at 30. And here is the operation that we saw. It's going to come to HT002 for operation 40. So it needs to go through all of these operations before it'll come here. And again, you can go and look and see to try and gauge how long it might be before it's there. You do also have the standard run hours for the operations, if there are standard run hours, to help you determine how long it might be. All right, let's go ahead and close out that detail. That covers most of the information, I think, that we would, the information that you would use the most. There's a lot of other stuff here, and you can look at it. It should be self-explanatory. One thing that you have here is this, we talked about the J.D. Edwards start date, the planned start date. This tells you the date that this this route step was actually started in eShop, which means somebody jobbed on to this route step August 2nd. The ones that are blank, they haven't been started yet. And you can see these ones that are active, of course, they've been started. And as you go lower, there's very few start dates, but this one has one. Okay? Lots of information. Just study the screen and get used to the screen. Okay, now I would like to show you is some of the things that the production supervisor can use to tweak the schedule. Today, the way they do it at Hydratech is, of course, it's all paper-based, and the production supervisor has the paper and assigns it by walking over to the work center and putting it in the folder of the operator there. And what we're trying to do is give the production supervisor the ability to do that without the paper. So let's look at, we are going to go into this work center that doesn't have a lot of activity right now. So I can do a little, I can show you some things on here without screwing things up. The supervisor, the production supervisor, has the ability to override the priority beyond what was done at the upper level parent order. And this is for, there's myriad reasons why you might want to do that. I'm sure you all understand that part very well. But this is just for the little shifting, when it gets down to production and it's like, oh, let's slip this one in here first instead of this one because we have the labor available or we have the parts, and even though the high level plan says this will keep us productive. So I'm just going to take this one here. Right now, these are the two that are priority according to the high-level order or the sales dates. And this little button here allows a priority change. The default is the lowest level 999. So I can use any number, but it will reorder this for this particular work center only to put that one on top. That's the highest priority from a production level. And so when an operator goes into their work center view, they'll see, okay, we want this one done first because that's at the top. And they won't see all the other, this information on the screen. They have a more limited view. They just need to know, do this first. At that point, the production supervisor will have made sure there's materials and there's, everything they need is on hand, so just do this one. And keeps it simple. Another thing that, I'm going to go ahead actually and remove that, just to show you. You could just, if you leave it at 999, you see it just puts it back, blank. Just says no, 999 means no special priority. All right, another thing that a work center or a production supervisor can do is, if he or she wants something done by a specific employee, they can assign it to an employee. You don't have to do this, it's just an option. So here we have assign employee, and this is my test employee number. Going to do that. All right, so what the effect of that is for one thing, there is an option for a machine operator to work on just what's been assigned to them instead of working directly from a particular work center queue. But the other thing is, if someone else tries to job on to this one and this is not their employee number, the system will tell them, oh, sorry, this is assigned to somebody else. And then to unassign, which I'm going to do since this isn't real, you just blank it out, no particular assignment, and you see that goes away. Another feature available to the production supervisor is the ability to change a work center. Now, I'm going to show you how this works, but I reassigned it to a work center. That doesn't make sense because I don't know the different work centers and what orders or what road steps can be done at each. So let's just take this one here. 131. Actually, I'm going to take this one here because I've got some notes on this so I can remember which one I changed. This icon allows you to change it to a work center, different work center. So if the work center it was assigned to was particularly busy, or you needed to fast track something and another work center that could do that was available, you would use this. All you have to do is say the new work center. Let's just move it to that one. And then you need to choose, this is for tracking after the fact, so elsewhere in the organization they can harvest information on problematic machines or whatever. Capacity related would be there's just too much going through and the machine is that it was assigned to is overloaded. That would be capacity related. A machine could be down and can't be used. And another could be the staff you have available, you don't have someone who is trained on that machine. I'll just do capacity related, and optionally you could put a comment. And let's just say bypass, well actually I better say this in case it gets left, test Janine. Okay, hit continue. Alright, so it's moved out of this work center now, so it's no longer showing up there. Let's go into the work center that I moved it to. That was 1314364. There it is. Okay. Now I just want to show you also the detail this leaves behind. And I double click on it. There is, on the detail, there's this work center change tracking, and you could see that this work order, this operation, was moved to HT024 from HT003. That's my user ID when I'm signed on, so that's your user ID for Catavolt. The date and time it was changed, why, and any comments. So this just gives you a record of what's happened with this order. Now, what I'm going to do, because again these are live orders, I'm going to change it back. You just see those steps again. It needs to go back to HT003, and then I would just put test, return to original. And put my name on it so we know who to blame. Alright. Alright, so it's out of this work center. And are we seeing it? Let's just refresh. 1314364. Okay, I'm just gonna get out of that. And go back in. Make sure I have a clean slate. Yep, and there it is. There it is again. And again, what we will see, if we click on it here, is we'll see the fact that it was moved back in the work center tracking. Return to original. Okay, that gives you an overview of the tools that the production supervisor has to move things around in the schedule. I also just want to quickly show you some of the other views that are important to the production supervisor. This is all active jobs by department, which is the way that Chris at Hydrotech likes to view his. It just gives you a quick glance. Okay, who's doing what, who's where, what date and time did it start, what part, description, etc. And there's also, that's by department. I like to see them by work center. So here you can see what's running at what work center kind of easily in a glance, and all the same information. And finally, this is an overview of all the work centers. The ones in green are currently active, the ones in gray are not. You do have this capacity information over here, which is less important to, that's more important to a planner than a production supervisor. But this does at least allow you to see how many jobs are running at each work center, and you can click into any one of these if you want to use this view. And it's that same view where you would see the work that needs to be done, what's running actively. All right, that concludes the tools that I wanted to show you for the production supervisor. Thank you.